Hi everyone, today we're going to be going over solving linear and quadratic systems by graphing them. So hopefully you guys have your guided notes with you and you are able to follow along on all these graphs. So you have y equals x squared minus 2x minus 3. This is our quadratic graph, the blue one, because it has the x squared, this little exponent of the squared, meaning that this is our graph right here. This one is our line, which is the red one, and we have our value of 2x minus 3. We see that remember a solution to a system of equations is having when they intersect here, so I do see that they have two solutions, and I believe those two solutions are at 0, negative 3, and then they're also at, the other one I marked was 4, 5. So that is our solutions there. And remember that, again, a solution to a system of equations is where the value intersects. So again, this is our vertex form of our parabola. Our parabola is the blue one facing down. It has a negative in front of the parentheses, so it is a sad face parabola. And then you have your linear equation of y equals 5. I have one solution here because it is only intersecting the graph at one time at that vertex, and it's intersecting at negative 2, 5. Then I have 0 solutions here because my quadratic formula, or my quadratic equation, is much higher than the y equals x minus 1. And so I have no solutions here. And again, we don't have any solutions because our graphs are not intersecting. Let's go ahead and actually graph a solution to a system, or solving systems. So we're going to go ahead and start off with our y equals 2x minus 3. So this is just a linear equation. The slope of this linear equation is a 2. If you like putting it rise over run, 2 over 1, that's your actual slope. And then the y-intercept is negative 3. I'm going to go ahead and graph that first. So we're going to go to our y-intercept at negative 3. And then we're going to go up 2 to the right 1. And then up 2 to the right 1. And then I'm just going to keep doing that one more time just to make sure I have more accurate values. And I think I actually missed one, so let me back that up real fast. And we have up 1, 2 over 1, and there we go. So now I'm going to go ahead and connect those dots for myself, and we're going to go ahead now and graph our parabola. So when we graph the parabola, we are in vertex form already, so remember the x and the h are together, so it's always the opposite sign. So we have x equals a negative 1 right now. Remember that negative 1 is going to go in the center of our table when we are actually graphing. And now we're going to figure out where our vertex is, and then the k is always on the outside of that vertex form, so I have negative 1, negative 4. I'm going to plug in that negative 4 into my table as well, and we're going to figure out numbers less than negative 1 to plug in for x, and numbers greater than negative 1 to plug in for x. So we're going to go ahead and finish filling in our table by simply plugging in x to equal negative 3. And then we have our negative 3 plus 1, which is a negative 2. And negative 2 squared is 4. Minus 4, we get y equals 0. That's going to go here. Hopefully it's going to go here too. We could check that. Let's actually check that. Let's go in order though, just so I don't confuse you guys. So we won't make sure, but we will make sure eventually. So now I'm going to plug in the negative 2 for x. So negative 2 plus 1 squared minus 4. I have y equals negative 2 plus 1 is a negative 1 squared. Negative 1 squared is going to be a 1 minus 4. And then I get y equals negative 3. Now we're going to go ahead and check that the opposite side of our solutions are actually in here as well. So we're going to plug in 0 for x instead. And we are hoping that we get to our answer to be a negative 3. So 0 plus 1 is just 1. 1 squared is 1. Minus 4, we get y equals negative 3. So we were right on that. And now I'm going to plug in 1 for our x here. So I have 1 plus 1, which is 2, 2 squared, which is 4, minus 4, which is 0. So we actually did get those values. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and make some room here because we are going to now plot this graph on our actual graph so we can see what our solution is. So negative 3 comma 0, negative 2 comma negative 3, then we have negative 1 comma negative 4. Not sure if that's actually supposed to be hitting, but we'll check 0, negative 3. That one's definitely hitting. And then we have 1 comma 0. So we go ahead and graph our line here, or our parabola, and we're going to check for our solutions. So I'm going to just double check that this one is a solution. So that was my negative 1 comma negative 4. So I'm going to plug this into my linear equation first. This is my x, this is my y. I'm going to plug in negative 4 equals 2 times negative 1 minus 3. So I get negative 4 equals 2 times negative 1 is a negative 2 minus 3. Well, I see that negative 2 minus 3 is actually negative 5. So this was actually not a solution. That one side does not equal the other. So that really was not an actual solution. So now I know that 0 comma negative 3 for sure was a solution. So I have 0 comma negative 3. We're going to plug it into our linear equation first. X equals 0 and y equals negative 3. Minus 3, negative 3 equals 0 minus 3. And we see that we do get negative 3 equals negative 3. Check. You have to plug it into your other equation here as well. So we're plugging it into the original equations, you guys, to see if our values actually equal each other. So again, please don't erase this stuff. You guys could just be adding on to your, hopefully you have enough room on your paper. And then again, instead of plugging in y, let me get rid of this. We're going to plug in that 0 comma 3 point that we're testing out. So let me just write 0 comma negative 3. Again, that's my x, this is my y. So negative 3 equals a 0 plus 1 squared minus 4. Now we have 1 squared, which is just 1, and we get a negative 3 equaling a negative 3 again. Check. So this 0, negative 3 actually is a solution. So we get to, again, you guys don't erase your work. Hopefully you showed it all. So 0 comma negative 3 is my solution. All right, let's go ahead and go on to our next example here. And we are going to, again, get our slope. We actually don't have an x variable, so our slope is 0. And then our y-intercept is actually a 2. So I'm going to go to my y-axis at 2, and I have to actually draw a 0 slope. It means I have a line like this at y equals 2. Now I'm going to use my axis of symmetry. We are in standard form now, so now I need to use this formula, negative b over 2a. So my negative b over 2a, my a value is negative 1, my b value is 4, and my c value is negative 3. So I'm going to plug in b. So I have a negative 4 minus 2 times negative 1, and negative 4 divided by a negative 2 is going to be a positive 2. So now I get x, and this is x equals 2. So I'm going to put my 2 right here in the middle of the graph. Then now I'm plugging in 2 into my original equation, which is right here. And I'm going to go ahead and solve for y. So let's see what we get. We have y equals negative 2 squared plus 4x minus 3. 2 squared is 4 times a negative 1 is negative 4. Then we have plus 4. Oh, I forgot to put the 2 in right there. We're going to do it now. So then I have 2 times 4, negative 4 plus 8 minus 3. And then I have negative 7 if I were to combine those, plus 8, which is a 1. So my vertex, again, you guys hopefully are able to squeeze this in here. I'm going to erase because I don't have enough room. So my vertex is now, but you guys again show your work, 2, 1. So my y value is here. Now I'm going to go ahead and complete my table. Numbers less than 2 are 1 and 0, and then 3 and 4. So I'm going to plug in my x equals 0 first into my equation, and we get plus 4 times 0 minus 3. Well, all this goes to 0, so now I have y equals negative 3. And again, you guys, if we're doing our math right, then that value should also be the same. Again, it mirrors it. And then I'm going to check my work for y equals the 1 value, those are parentheses, plus 4 times 1, and then we get minus 3. So 1 squared is just 1, times that negative 1 is a negative 1, and then plus 4 minus 3. Again, if I have my negative 1 and negative 3, it's a negative 4, we get 0. So this should be 0, this should be 0. All right, so we are going to go ahead and graph this now. So we have 0, negative 3. Then we have 1, comma 0, 2, comma 1. And then we have our 3, comma 0. And we have our 4, comma negative 3. So if you guys see, I actually did not reach all the way up to that yellow line. So we actually have no solutions. Our graphs are not touching, and we do not have any points to actually test that we want to see if they're touching. So we have no solutions. All right, you guys, that's it for the notes, and I will see you in class.